grouped most of them in similar lines, but I'll give you a very quick overview of the piece so that you can see exactly what you'd be getting if you ever decided to pick any of these statues up. I hope this video will work as a complete guide for anyone who'd like to complete the series so far, like I have. They'd like to see a Grail piece in closer detail, or just to see what you like and you don't like in the series. I understand that not every one of these is going to appeal to all of you, but I hope you enjoy the review nonetheless. If there are any of these statues you'd like to see in a full review that I haven't covered, please let me know at the comments. As I said before, I think this is just a stunning way to display all the boxes temporarily. Of course, normally they're in storage, but for the purposes of this video, I couldn't resist setting them up like this. Okay, so first up I'd like to take a look at a statue that's pretty relevant right now given the upcoming Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice movie. Here we have the Superman vs Batman battle statue based on the climactic fight in Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. This statue was sculpted by Derek Miller and measures approximately 11 inches tall. DC Collectibles have actually re-released this statue pretty recently and slightly changed the name, removing the battle statue part. That's how you can tell the new release from the old. However, both versions are practically identical inside. The version I have is the original release, and what I'm always struck by is the sheer attention to detail in this piece. You can see Batman and Superman are standing on the damaged battle tank essentially. You've got the coloured cables going from Batman's utility belt to his hand cannon. Superman looks just like he did in the comic, as does Batman. The attention to detail is great. It is literally covered in texturing throughout, and even includes great callbacks to the book, like the crushed street lamp which powered Batman's gun, and also there's a really cool Carrie Kelly Robin hiding inside the crushed bat tank. It's one of the bulkiest statues that DC Collectibles has produced in recent years and is absolutely stunning to see in person. Next, we have the Superman vs Darkseid 2nd edition statue. Now this piece was designed by Walter O'Neill and sculpted by Ray Villafane. It measures 12.5 inches tall and depicts an epic battle between Superman and one of his most powerful villains, Darkseid, over a fire pit in Apocalypse. Like the Superman vs Batman statue, this is actually a 2nd edition re-release from DC Collectibles. It was originally released under the DC Direct banner back in 2008. Now this 2nd edition features slightly different paint apps to the original, which I own as well. I do prefer the original's paint apps, to be honest, but that's just my personal opinion. Now the way it attaches together on this is different also. On the original piece, Superman and Darkseid are permanently attached together at the hands, with just the base being a separate piece. This new edition has them separate in packaging and they have to be assembled. No doubt to ensure more statues arrived undamaged, as this was a problem with the first edition. Now this is a truly excellent and dynamic piece, and I've always felt really is a must-have for fans of either character if you can get your hands on it. Moving on to the Man of Steel movie related items, next up we have the Man of Steel Superman vs Zod 1:12 scale statue. Now this was digitally sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios and measures 9.125 inches high. This statue recreates part of the final battle between Superman and General Zod in Man of Steel when they are on the rooftop construction area. Zod is swinging the I-beam and Superman is about to melt it with his heat vision. Again, I love how dynamic this piece is, and despite DC Collectibles getting some criticism for the likenesses of both Superman and Zod's head sculpts, I really like the way they both look, and especially love Superman's pose here ready for battle looking up at Zod. It's such a really nice and well made piece. Now, here we have the Man of Steel Superman 1:12 scale bank vault statue. This was yet again sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios and measures only 6 inches high. This statue was always a must-have for me. It recreates the shot of Henry Cavill's Superman as he's been punched by Fiora into the Smallville bank vault. It's especially important to me, of course, because this is a recreation anyway of the first ever image we got of Henry Cavill in character as Superman all those years ago. An absolutely brilliant collectible. The bank vault is supremely detailed, and at only 6 inches, this whole piece is small enough to fit in anyone's collection comfortably. Next up is the Man of Steel 1:6 scale Superman icon statue. This is the first of 6 icon statues produced for the movie, and this one does not disappoint. Sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios and measuring 13.25 inches high, I love the use of cloth cape with this statue. It not only has the perfect shade of red, of course, but it's posable with 3 wires running throughout. The metallic paint choice for the suit was perfect, and you can really see how the light plays off this piece when it's on display. The base is stunning, being a massive recreation of the S-Shield, or the Kryptonian symbol of hope. The sculpted detail of the suit really draws the eye and makes this piece really come to life. Love this one. Now, the Man of Steel 1:6 scale Superman Icon Black Suit variant statue is up next, and as the name suggests, this is a repaint of the first statue showing Superman in the black and silver suit seen in his vision with Zod. Yet again, the use of a soft goods wired cape is perfect for this statue. It's still sculpted by Gentle Giant, but this is slightly taller than the regular Superman version, standing at about 14 inches. The reason for this is the new base they've given him, a pile of very well sculpted and painted skulls. This of course recreates the scene from the vision with Zod before Superman sinks down into them. I like that they didn't just repaint the statue, but they changed the base as well, making this piece all the more collectible. As you can see from these images, the suit looks amazing in the black and silver deco, and you can really make out all the subtle suit sculpting throughout. I'm also a big fan of the head sculpts that Gentle Giant have created. Whilst they're not as spot on as the Hot Toys Superman heads, I can really tell that it's meant to be Henry Cavill. Moving on, here we can see the Man of Steel 1:6 scale Jor-El icon statue. Like all the rest in this icons line, it's sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios and measures 12.25 inches high. Talk about intricate sculpt work. One of my favourite things about the Man of Steel movie was the depiction of Krypton, especially the armour, and this scene really shows off Jor-El's battle armour nicely. The bone-like textures are perfectly recreated here, and the long cape is made from a posable pleather type of material. It's covered in creases and folds just like it was in the movie. I'm also a huge fan of the head sculpt for this one. I can really see Russell Crowe in there, and whilst the beard is maybe a little bit too grey, it's still awesome. He has the same S-Shield base as Superman, and the bright colours really offset his mainly cream and black armour, making it a standout. I loved the infusion of bone-looking technology on Krypton. Fantastic sculpt. Moving over to the villains of the movie, and first up is the Man of Steel 1:6 scale Zod icon statue. This statue is 13.5 inches tall and depicts General Zod in the armour we see him for the majority of the movie, the one he salvaged from the Kryptonian outpost. This statue has a soft goods posable cape of course, but this time it's a much thicker and glossier leather material. I'm not sure how accurate this is to the movie, as I don't think his cape was glossy, but wow does this statue look impressive. As with the Jor-El armour, this is dripping in sculpted detail on every millimetre. Such an intricate armour, and it really makes me appreciate the production design of this movie a whole lot more getting to see this up close. The facial likeness is great, and despite some bags under the eyes, I like how much it reminds me of Michael Shannon. The scar is maybe a little bit too pronounced and fresh looking on this one, but that's no big deal and does not detract from the overall aesthetic. The huge base looks just like the crest Zod wore on his chest back on Krypton, and features the raised texture that all the bodysuits had in the movie. It really pops with the silver and black paint deco as well, and overall the paint apps throughout are stunning with a subtle black wash on the silver parts. The posable cape can be moved to some pretty dramatic positions too, very cool. Next up, it's the Man of Steel 1:6 scale Zod Icon Kryptonian Armour variant statue measuring 13.5 inches. This piece depicts Zod in his original Kryptonian armour from the beginning of the movie. The first thing that's so striking about this piece is the cape itself. It's made of a big thick faux fur material, and I'll be honest, I didn't actually notice that's what Zod's cape looked like at the beginning of the movie. I had to rewatch it before I noticed this is in fact the big bulky cape that he does wear, so it's a neat touch that Gentle Giant have recreated this really well. With regards to the armour itself, just like Jor-El's, it has that beautiful bone-like motif, and it is covered in detail, both painted and sculpted. There's beautiful black wash all the way through it, and the brown is really nice. I kinda wish he wore this armour in the entire movie, to be honest. When it comes to the base, it looks identical to Zod's one, or the regular Zod statue. It's got the silver and black paint apps there, and the cape does actually have wiring through it, just like all the others in the line, so you can get some nice poses where it's blowing off to the side, and you can actually see inside the cape. It's not fur on the inside, it has almost like a leathery texture, just like Jor-El's cape. And finally, here you have the two Zod statues together, and you can see they look fantastic together. As I said, I do personally prefer the Kryptonian one on the left, but they both look great, and I love that the face sculpt of Zod does look younger. You know, he doesn't have the goatee, the scar looks a little bit more fresh. Overall, great to have them both. And finally in this line we have the Man of Steel 1:6 scale Fiora icon statue, sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios of course, measuring 12.5 inches high. Now if I could recommend only one statue from this icons line, this would be it. Gentle Giant have done an amazing job recreating Aunt Gertrude's likeness, the actress who played Fiora in the movie. Every single aspect of this statue is a home run, be it the head sculpt, as you can see here, the lips, the eyes, the hair, it just looks so much like her. Now the armour itself is covered in a black wash, as with most of the villainous armours, and you can see here that the base is actually sculpted in Fiora's family crest. It has the silver and black motif. Now it is a shame that we didn't get Fiora's Kryptonian armour just like we got Zod's, because her brown version of the armour looked very, very cool. But moving our way up the statue, you can see it is sculpted so intricately. The cape yet again has a leathery texture to it, and this one seems to be slightly more articulated. It has the same wiring as all the others, but because it's so light, you can really get some dynamic poses out of this one. It looks superb. Yet again, face sculpt is amazing. The armour is amazing. Cannot recommend this one highly enough. And I couldn't resist showing all 6 of the icon statues stood together so you get an idea of how they look as a set, and I think you'll agree they look pretty impressive. Such a wide variety of textures and colours and characters. Really, really great that Gentle Giant sculpted these ones. Sticking with an icon statue, next up we have the New 52 Superman DC Comics icon statue, sculpted yet again by Gentle Giant Studios, measuring 10.25 inches high. Now the first thing you're going to notice about this statue is the pose is almost identical to the Man of Steel icon statue. I think they've reused the digital sculpt and just tailored it to the New 52 armour, but that is not a negative. This statue is stunning. Look at that metallic gloss. The way that the light bounces off this, it really just does make it appealing to any fan of either the New 52 or Superman in general. Now, with regards to the actual cape itself, it is a soft goods cape. Yet again, it does have wiring through it, similar to the Man of Steel line. What I love about this statue is how massive that S-shield is on his chest. The quality control on this one, certainly on mine, is absolutely perfect. And look at that face sculpt. It's one of the best depictions of the New 52 Superman. And I really like that they've cast the actual head in the skin colour, so there's no paint apps or no flesh paint on there. It's just the colour it was cast in. Now, you can see on the shoulder there, as I said before, the cape does have a bad tendency, or a lot of people have complained that it does bunch up. I don't agree with that. I found it really easy to pose, and I sometimes find it a challenge to make a really nice dynamic pose. It just makes it look all the more realistic. I think you'll agree it is quite a powerful pose, like the Man of Steel statue. The glossy paint is just stunning. I can't obviously sing its praises highly enough. Now, you'll notice the base has a slight circuitry look to it. I'm not entirely sure what they were going with this, but the rest of the icon series, I think there's Batman, Green Lantern, they're going to be doing Flash, Wonder Woman, etc. They all have the exact same base, so they all tie in quite well together. The cape, of course, as you can see, is the correct shape for New 52. It has the point at the bottom, but you'll notice that there is no black S-shield on the back. I'm guessing that's because it was probably pretty hard to attach that to such a thick fabric cape. Either way, it is a very nice cape. I do like that you can get a dynamic pose out of it, as you can see here. And yet again, I think it is a bit of an underappreciated statue. I absolutely love it, and I highly recommend it for any fans of Superman. Now, jumping back slightly to one of the first New 52 Superman statues, and here we have the DC Comics Superheroes Superman bust sculpted by Jean St. John, measuring 6 inches high. Now, this is a really nice piece. Once again, I think it's a bit of an underrated bust. It has a really dynamic cape, of course, blowing off to the side. I think Jean St. John has done a really good job of bringing sort of Jim Lee's New 52 Superman to life. It's a really muscled sculpt, ready for action. You can see the details in the armour are very well done. There is a variant that has a heat vision version, so he has the red eyes instead of the darker eyes there. They should be blue, but they're slightly darker blue. But I love the way the cape looks. It has the black S on there blown off to one side, and overall I think it's a really nice dynamic pose. Moving on to the sister piece of that bust, you could say, we have the DC Comics Superheroes Supergirl bust. This one was sculpted by Jim Maddox, measuring 6 inches high. Now this really is the sister piece of the previous bust in every way, because it has a similar base. Obviously both these busts have a really nice, very strange looking angular base, you know, curved with a circular section. It's a really nice looking base. They both have the S-shield on there. Now this statue does get a lot of hate regarding the face sculpt. I don't think it's that bad. I think I think it's maybe around the eyes that cause people issues, but I think it's a really nice sculpt. The way that she's got her arms stretched out, obviously almost like she's about to take flight, I think it's a really nice recreation. I've always been a fan of the New 52 Supergirl costume. Obviously, it's a bit more revealing than other costumes have been in the past, but this is a really nice statue, 6 inches with both these pieces. I think they would be great in any collection. They're not too large, and they would look fantastic on a desk. Moving on to one of DC Collectibles' most popular statue lines, here we have the Supergirl Bombshell statue designed by Aunt Lucia, sculpted by Tim Miller, measuring 10.9 inches high. Now, if you're unfamiliar with them, the DC Comics Bombshells are a series of statues featuring some of their most popular heroines reimagined in a 1940s era pin-up style. Now, they launched them back in 2013 with Wonder Woman, and it is so popular, not only with collectors but also cosplayers and things like that. Of course, in addition to Supergirl, you've got Wonder Woman, Zatanna, Stargirl, as well as some of the rogues like Harley Quinn on the horizon, and Poison Ivy. I think you'll agree this is a beautiful statue, so dynamic, the way she rotates there, it looks amazing. Now, of course, it has been known to be prone to break because the scarf is hanging off the back of her neck there. I have heard a lot of collectors who have suffered damages with that. Thankfully, I did not, and I cannot get enough of this statue. There's not one single angle that this statue does not look stunning from. The fact that she's only attached by 1 foot, it really does look like a pin-up on the side of a, like a bomber back in the war. Now, the base itself has a gorgeous sort of metallic grate style to it, and there is a little plaque on the front with Supergirl's name, and it does have a little image of the actual pin-up artwork this statue is based on. These are pretty expensive now on the aftermarket. I know that DC Collectibles did re-release the Supergirl one as a second edition. It's identical to the first. I just think there was so much demand for them. Such a beautiful statue. Next, we have the Lois Lane's Bombshell statue, one of the latest statues in my collection. Yet again, designed by Aunt Lucia, sculpted by Tim Miller, and measuring 11.5 inches high. This is another gorgeous statue. It depicts Lois, of course, as a 1940s newsboy, as it were, with the cap, the waistcoat, the braces hanging down, and she's essentially holding up a paper which says Caped Wonder Stuns City. Instead of a picture of Superman on there, of course, it is the Bombshells Supergirl, which is a very nice touch. The newspaper is well recreated. Of course, it's the Daily Planet. The look on her face is great. The wide open smile, the big blue eyes, the quality control on these is second to none, to be honest. With the base, it's very similar to the Supergirls one with the grated metallic. The good thing about this one, in addition to the Lois Lane nameplate being on there, it actually detaches, it's magnetic, so that's really good, and less chance of it breaking in transit. You cannot deny these statues absolutely keep their feminine look. This is a stunning statue from top to bottom. Great sculpt, the pose is fantastic, very Lois Lane with her hand on her hips, and I cannot wait to see what else DC Collectibles release. Really looking out for a Power Girl statue in this line. Very, very nice. Next, we have what is probably my favourite statue in the entire DC Collectibles line so far personally. It's the Superman and Wonder Woman The Kiss statue, based on the art of Jim Lee, sculpted by Tim Bruckner, measuring 14.3 inches high. Now, I make no bones about it, Tim Bruckner is one of my favourite sculptors. I really feel that he does some of the best Superman sculpts out there, and this is no exception. As you can see from the beautiful dynamic 360 here, this of course depicts Superman and Wonder Woman in their New 52 look. Of course they are in a relationship in the New 52, and it essentially captures this beautiful kiss moment from them. Now, Tim Bruckner did an amazing thing. He took this artwork and completely brought it to life. With regards to little things that he's changed, the cape in the actual artwork normally goes all the way down Superman's leg, but he did this amazing thing. He bunched it under Superman's arm, as Superman's kind of lifted it up, almost like a jacket under his arm. It really is a stunning way to alter the sculpt slightly. I just cannot recommend this piece highly enough. Now, there are, I should say, some issues with this sculpt, mainly in transit. There is a massive amount of these statues that arrive damaged. This is probably due to the polystyrene in the packaging not being up to scratch, to be honest, or not being the exact correct shape. But if you go on eBay and look up Superman, Wonder Woman, the Kiss statue, chances are you'll find a dozen of them in broken condition. It's very, very hard to get one that doesn't have any damage or hasn't been repaired. Regardless of that, it is a gorgeous sculpt. The metallic paint apps that have been chosen for Superman and Wonder Woman really make the statue come alive under any form of lighting. Just the very act of sculpting this, I've spoken to Tim Bruckner personally, and he talked about how difficult it was to recreate this pose. It is just absolutely amazing. The cloud base itself is semi-translucent, you know, so if you put light up against it, you can almost see through it, which I really do appreciate. And just the sheer dynamics of this, the fact that the whole statue is held up just on one section attaching Wonder Woman, is amazing. Superman touches no part of the cloud base whatsoever. He's suspended. Beautiful statue. Very expensive now, sadly. I really do hope that DC Collectibles re-release this one. I probably would pick up another version, to be honest, even in a different paint style, be it matte paint or very, very nice, and one of my absolute favourites. Next up, we have the Superman and Wonder Woman Holiday Kiss mini statue, yet again sculpted by Tim Bruckner, measuring 8.75 inches high. Now this one's slightly more notorious. I know for a fact that Tim Bruckner isn't happy with this statue. So basically what DC Collectibles have done is taken the existing Kiss statue, which was very, very popular. They have essentially miniaturized it, so it's almost half as big as the other one is, and they've essentially added a piece of mistletoe coming out of Superman's shoulder between the loving couple, as it were. Essentially, you know, they can repackage it as a Christmas version and sell it. Now, whilst I know Tim Bruckner isn't a fan, I do like this statue for one reason, and that is that the mistletoe can actually be removed, as you see there. Now, it's not meant to be removed, to be honest. It's actually glued in place. However, it is relatively easy to do as long as you take some care and attention. And what you have after that's been removed, essentially, is a recreation of the massive statue in a mini form. Now, there are a lot of people who are obviously desperately after the massive statue, and I can highly recommend this piece. Even though, you know, it does have the mistletoe, as I said, that can come off. What you have is almost a direct recreation. Now, as much as Tim Bruckner hates it, the mistletoe is actually quite well sculpted there. You see it has the bow up top, and okay, it has the gold pole, and in this little close-up you can see how it's actually attached into the shoulder. Now, a pair of pliers and a bit of kitchen roll or toilet roll, you can quite easily pry it out there, and then when that's out, it looks practically the same. Now, one of the major differences, of course, is the cloud base. What they've done is, instead of just having the sort of the cloud painted, you know, airbrushed and painted like the original, they've added a glitter onto this one. Now, I hate glitter, I'll be honest. I am the biggest glitter anti-fan in the world. It just seems to get everywhere. I can never get it off my hands, but it does work with this one. When you take pictures, of course, the glitter reflects light. It just looks really stunning in person. Now, of course, it is miniaturized, so you are, of course, going to lose detail. You know, it's half as big. There's not going to be as much intricate detail, but I think that overall, if you actually compare these two statues together, they look great together. It's a nice alternate way for collectors to get a copy of the Kiss who maybe can't afford to pay the full price for it on eBay. Get a pair of pliers, take the mistletoe, and you've got a really nice looking statue here. Here we have the Covergirls Supergirl statue, designed by Stanley Art Germ Lau, sculpted by Jack Matthews, measuring 10 inches high. Now, this is a really beautiful statue, and I think it's a one of a kind when it comes to DC Collectibles, because normally DC Collectibles will commission a sculpt from a sculptor or an artist or things like that. This one, as far as I'm aware anyway, was designed by someone on DeviantArt. I don't know if someone from DC Collectibles saw the drawing and really liked it, but essentially that's exactly what this statue is based on, which I appreciate. Of course, it is in the new 52 style, and here you can see the statue compared to the art by Stanley Art Germlau on DeviantArt, and I think you'll agree it is a dead ringer. Such a beautiful piece of art and a beautiful statue based on it. It is in the new 52 style, of course, so Supergirl does have her armoured suit. Love the way her hair is blown off to one side there. It's just a gorgeous look. Now, the base itself is quite understated. You can see it's almost essentially like a yellow oblong with red trim and a little almost S-shield pentagon around the four corners. So it's a nice simple base. She is attached, of course, just by her 1 foot with a peg, and overall a really nice statue. I think it's quite unique that it was designed by someone on DeviantArt. I think that's really great, and it does look great from many angles. This was also a very appreciative gift from DC Collectibles. I mean, appreciative on my part, of course. There was a statue I had which had an issue with it, and DC Collectibles replaced it and very, very kindly sent this as a bonus, so I'm very, very thankful to them. Next up, we have the Superman patina statue, designed by Jim Lee, sculpted by Tim Bruckner, measuring 6 inches high. Now, this is actually the third version of this statue released by DC. The first one was called the Jim Lee Superman statue and was approximately 10 inches tall, almost double the height of this. It was very, very popular, so DC released a smaller 6-inch version, which had the same colour scheme. It looked almost the same. This is the first re-release since DC Direct became DC Collectibles, and whilst it could be considered a cash-in, they have changed it significantly in the colour scheme. Here you can see, instead of having flesh tones and the regular reds and yellows and blues, it's got a patinaed hue to it, meaning it looks like almost like a weathered statue. He's got a beautiful gold complexion. The reds are much deeper. Here you can see on the gargoyle, the metallic sections are turning green slightly, very similar to what happened to the Statue of Liberty, you know, when it's exposed to the elements. Now, there is no S-shield on the back of the cape, but I still think this statue looks stunning. The patina style really does make a lot of statues pop and gives them that antique look. Moving on, and you're going to find the next statue very similar. This is the Superman mini statue, designed by Jim Lee, sculpted by Tim Bruckner, measuring 6 inches high. Now, this is the fourth re-release of the Jim Lee statue. Whilst the previous mini one had the patina look, this one has a metallic paint app. Now, once again, it is in the 6-inch scale, so it is one of the smaller versions, and whilst you could argue this is just yet another cash-in, the metallic paint app really does look stunning on this piece. Whenever you put any kind of light on it, it really does just bounce it right back at you. Now, I have spoken to Tim Bruckner about this personally, and he did say that DC certainly are getting a lot of mileage out of the sculpt he did for them, and of course that is their right. Once he sculpts something for them, they own that and they are free to reproduce it or make it bigger or smaller or change it. Once again, it is just the same sculpt over again, but because I love the sculpt so much, I'm a sucker for this Jim Lee Superman sculpt by Tim Bruckner. I'm probably going to buy it as many times as they re-release it. Now, as you can see, the base itself does have metallic paint as well, so the silvers really pop and really shine out there. The boots are glossy. Now, the cape itself doesn't have metallic paint. It is a matte red, but you can see that the yellow S-shield is back again, which I love. I'm a huge fan of that. And here you can see the patina versus the metallic version together, and it will just contrast just how different they actually are. They really look fantastic together, and I know it is just a paint app change, but it makes a big difference. Okay, so I'm going to show you all my Jim Lee Superman statues in one go. This video is slightly old, but here you can see the full-size Superman statue at the back here. In front is the first re-release, which is the 6-inch Jim Lee mini Superman statue. Moving over, you have the recently released metallic version that we've just looked at a few moments ago. You can see the colour does look different between the two minis. And moving over to the patina statue now, you're going to notice something very, very large in the background. That's actually a quarter scale Jim Lee Superman statue. Now, I'm not going to show this one off in this video just to whet your appetite, but it is massive and looks stunning. So overall, once again, this is just a re-release, but I still love the sculpt. I love the metallic paint app, and it's a very, very cool statue if you can get your hands on it. Moving on, here we have the Batman Superman bookends, based on artwork by Jim Lee and sculpted by, Tim Bruckner. Now, this time it's also sculpted by Adam Ross and measures 8.75 inches high. Essentially, what you have here is the fifth recreation of those Tim Bruckner statues. Essentially, what DC Collectibles have done is got another sculptor in, Adam Ross, who has modified Tim Bruckner's sculpt slightly. He has altered the cape, he has altered the S-shield, the head sculpts, the gargoyle, just ever so subtly, but you can still see it's the same sculpts of both Superman and Batman. Regardless, what you have is an amazing set of bookends here. They are very expensive. I don't know anyone that would use these as bookends, to be honest, but they do have a unique selling feature, and that is that Batman and Superman aren't permanently attached. Here you can see they can be removed, they are only attached by magnets, and you get to see the amazing detail on the actual bookend sets themselves. The paint apps are amazing. The Superman one looks very similar to the Chrysler building with its deco. You know, you've got lots of paint apps and dry brushing and rust, whereas the Batman one, of course, is covered in vines and rocks. Here's Superman in a slightly different angle on the base here. And the metallic paint apps really work well for this. It seems that metallic paint apps are the flavour of the day at DC Collectibles, but I'm not complaining. It really does look nice, and you can alter Superman's position anywhere on that base, straight ahead, side, back, it doesn't really matter. I love the big S shield on the back of the base. As I said, it really does remind me of the Chrysler building, same sort of Art Deco style. Now, there are changes to the sculpt, as I said. The cape is different. Now, there is a complaint that the cape is way too short, as I said, but I don't feel that. I think it looks really cool. Now, the musculature is pretty much identical, and here you can see Superman doesn't have to be on the base whatsoever. You can actually pose him on his own and he looks just as impressive. You can see the way the light bounces off this piece. It's really nice. Now, the head sculpt is markedly different. Obviously, he's got much pointier eyebrows, and the S-shield is no longer like the Jim Lee style. And here you can see the gargoyle has been elongated. It does have that same sort of rusty paint app that the background has. Overall, it does look pretty impressive. This set also marks a first in my collection, which is the first Batman statue I've ever owned. Plenty Superman, no Batman, but I can't deny this statue does look impressive. The metallic paint really works well for Batman, and how detailed is that base? Look at the gargoyle, the rocket, it just came off very well. Now, as I was saying before, there are multiple ways you can display these statues. Here they are both looking out, you can have them both looking diagonally. Putting the bookends back to back, of course, you can see them facing out. This is a stunning set. Yes, it's another recreation of the same sculpt. I don't care. If you can get your hands on this for a decent price, it will look stunning on any one of your shelves. Okay, so now we're moving on to the Man of Steel statue line. Anyone who's never heard of this, it basically takes all the different looks of Superman throughout his entire career, from comics, TV shows, animation, etc. And these are all statues based on all those different looks, all by different sculptors. Now, the first one in the series is the Man of Steel Superman by Frank Miller, sculpted by Tim Bruckner, measuring 9.5 inches high. Now, this was the first statue in the series, and it does get a bit of hate because people often think he looks a bit like a ballerina in his pose. However, this is based on a specific piece of Frank Miller art, and Tim Bruckner has done a great job of recreating it. Now, this entire series is dominated by metallic paint, so every single Superman statue in the series has an amazing metallic paint app, and I think Tim Bruckner's done a great job of recreating the artwork perfectly. The Dark Knight Returns had a very specific look for Superman, quite chunky, you know, a big long face, but I think he has done a great job with this one. Now, the second statue in the series was the Man of Steel Superman by Lee Bermejo statue. Now, this was of course designed by Lee Bermejo and sculpted by Jean St. John, measuring 11 inches high. Now, the main feature of this statue, which blows everyone away, is that cape. It takes up most of the statue's height and it is amazingly detailed. Covered in wrinkles, covered in creases, it's such a dynamic looking piece as Superman comes in for a landing. Look at how the colours pop on that metallic paint app. It looks just like Lee Bermejo's art, and it is really one of the most sought after statues in the series and really hard to get on the aftermarket. The wrinkles, the creases, the colours, such a dynamic pose, and one of the best statues in the series, to be honest. Next up, we have the Man of Steel Superman statue by Jim Lee, based on the art of Jim Lee, sculpted by Jack Matthews, measuring 6.5 inches high. Now, this is one of the more understated statues in the series, but it's by no means any less impressive. Yet again, it has the metallic paint apps and it shows Jim Lee's Superman in the New 52 Superman costume taking a step forward. It's a really action-packed pose, and I love the way that Jack Matthews has recreated the armour detail here, you know, going up through the New 52 suit. It's a stunning statue. Next up, we have the Man of Steel Superman statue by Rags Morales, designed by Rags Morales and sculpted by Matt Brouillard. This one measures 7.75 inches high. Yet again, this is another New 52 version of Superman and depicts him in his Action Comics look, where he was simply wearing jeans and a t-shirt. I love the way this statue looks, of course the way the white t-shirt pops. Now, there is a variant of this which has a blue t-shirt, but there was only ever one made in existence and it sells for tens of thousands of dollars. It's really expensive, but this one looks so impressive with the creases down the cape, the detailing in the jeans, the knee pads, the boots, another stunning piece. And moving on, here we have the Man of Steel Superman by Frank Quietly statue, based on the art of Frank Quietly, sculpted by Paul Harding, measuring 10.5 inches high. Now this is one of the more taller pieces in the Man of Steel line and depicts Superman from, of course, his All-Star Superman book run. It looks so cool. It's identical to the cover art it's based on, and I love the sculpting detail of the creases going through the suit. The yellows really pop. The face sculpt looks identical to Frank Quietly's artwork with the small eyes and the massive chin. Such a dynamic piece and another great addition to the collection. The Man of Steel Superman by Shane Davis statue is up next. Based on artwork created by Shane Davis, sculpted by John Neal, and measuring 8.5 inches high, this is probably one of the most action-orientated poses in this line, with Superman in flight about to punch something. I know I use the term dynamic over and over, but that's definitely the best word to describe this piece. The character design is of course based on his look in the Superman Earth 1 graphic novels drawn by Shane Davis. You can always tell by the hollowed out yellow S-shield on his cape, the yellow outline around the S-shield on his chest, and the distinctive abs section on the front of the suit, which seems quite wide. Now, I've heard many complaints about this statue, saying that his right arm is too long. Now, I've never really felt that, to be honest, and the proportions look just right to me. The face sculpt is pretty youthful, as it should be, and the sculpt of the cape adds to the feeling of speed the way it's drawn right back. I also love that he's only supported by the pole in his knee. Overall, this was a necessary addition to the series, in my opinion. Next in line, we have the Man of Steel Superman by Kenneth Rocafort statue. Designed by Kenneth Rocafort, sculpted by Paul Harding, and measuring 8.5 inches high. Now, anyone that's ever seen any of Kenneth Rocafort's art will instantly recognise how accurate this sculpt is. The angular musculature of his art is perfectly recreated here, and I feel this is probably the best statue in the line to show why the metallic paint apps were such an inspired choice by DC Collectibles. Every line and facet on the statue is accentuated by the light, and there's a reason that it's a lot of collectors' favourites in the series. The pose is also reminiscent of the cover of Superman issue number 1, which only adds to the collectability, I think. Moving on, here you can see the Man of Steel Superman by Bruce Timm statue, based on the art of Superman the Animated Series, sculpted by James Shoup and measuring 7.5 inches high. This was a statue I knew I absolutely had to own. Being such a fan of Superman the Animated Series, knowing we were getting something in the same style was, great news. You can see here it's another dynamic pose with Superman taking a big punch. There are a few inconsistencies with this statue, namely, as you can see here, Superman's eyes. Now in this show they weren't really drawn like this. They were almost drawn like sort of little slits with dots, so that's slightly different. Also, he has a yellow S-shield on his cape, which he did not have in the animated show because I think it was too hard to animate. Overall though, those are minor niggles for a really great sculpt. His barrel-chested look, the proportions are perfect for the animated series, and you can see how it's just a tiny, just his toe is essentially keeping him attached to the base. Now, the bases are something I've not really been mentioning so far in this line. They all have the same motif base, which of course is the silver S-shield with the nuts going down the left-hand side. Each statue, of course, connects to the base individually and uniquely. I really do appreciate that, and I think it does set this line apart. The Man of Steel Superman by Ed McGuinness statue is up next. Designed by Ed McGuinness, sculpted by James Shoup, and measuring 7.5 inches high. Now, anyone that knows me knows that McGuinness is one of my favourite artists. I'm a sucker for stylised images, and the blocky nature of his artwork has always appealed to me, with his characters all having what I affectionately call drawbridge abs. Now, the square jaw and over-exaggerated proportions are great. The pose they've gone for here is deceptively simple. It looks like he's just standing in a vanilla pose with his hands at his side, but what I like is that he's there immovable and solid as a rock while his cape is completely blowing at 90 degrees. It gives the impression there's a super strong wind or shockwave and he is unaffected. This statue was one that I was initially not looking forward to because I'm such a fan of this style, and the terrible preview pictures didn't do the piece any justice. Thankfully, having the statue in hand, I couldn't have been more wrong, and he looks great on display. The Man of Steel Superman by Mobius statue is up next. Based on artwork created by Mobius and sculpted by Chris Dahlberg, measuring 8.5 inches high. Mobius is a world famous artist who has only ever drawn Superman once in a compilation book along with dozens of other artists. This statue does recreate that image perfectly, however, not only with a very slight build and physique, but also Mobius's trademark shading lines. Chris Dahlberg has expertly scribed all these lines in the sculpt, and it only elevates what was already another great take on Superman by making it all the more striking, especially going down through the cape here, just exquisite. Next up we have one of the more controversial statues in the line. This is the Man of Steel Superman by Gary Frank statue. Designed by Gary Frank, sculpted by Tony Cipriano and Josh Sutton, measuring 7.8 inches high. Now this actually wasn't sculpted at all by Tony Cipriano, even though his name is on the packaging. I actually got this statue from his personal collection, and he said that even though DC Collectibles sent him a copy of this, he had no part in the sculpt and didn't know why his name was on there, which I found obviously quite strange. Now, the reason I said that this statue is a bit controversial is the pose. This is definitely a love it or hate it statue. It's probably a 50-50 thing. A lot of people absolutely detest the pose, saying it looks very sort of Sound of Music, like he's in a musical and he's exclaiming to the sky. Now, I've come to terms with the actual pose itself, and I don't mind it at all now. The look of glee on his face, it's almost that look of glee as you're flying, essentially. There are some minor proportion issues with the hands. I feel they are slightly too small. However, once again, the metallic paint really does emphasise the musculature on this, and I have very little complaints when I see it on display. The base is another one that's it's been done very uniquely, where the cape is actually what attaches Superman to the base. His feet do not touch any part of the base at all, which is very, very cool. Overall, as I said, a controversial statue. I love it or hate it one, but I am so glad that they included this representation in the collection. Next up, we have the Man of Steel Superman by Sean Cheeks Galloway statue. Designed by Sean Galloway, sculpted by Irene Matar, and measuring 8.9 inches high. Talk about a stylised statue. Now this is why I am so glad this line exists. Superman has existed in hundreds of styles throughout the decades, and none of them is any more relevant than the other. That's why I love that this statue exists. Sean Galloway's style is so unique. This is going to be another love it or hate it statue amongst fans, I think. He's been described by some as Elvis Superman because of that huge quiffed hairdo and the raised eyebrow. The body proportions to me are brilliant though. His ankles are thinner than his fingers. His legs are small, his upper body is gargantuan. There's not a thing about this statue that I don't appreciate, to be honest. The huge billowing cape, the fact that he's flying, and his expression, also very cool. And finally, we have the Man of Steel Superman by John Romita Jr. statue, based on the artwork of John Romita Jr., sculpted by Paul Harding and measuring 7.125 inches high. Now, at the time of this recording, this is the latest Man of Steel statue released in the UK. There is one more that has just been released in the US, but I'll cover that in a minute. John Romita is another comic legend who has recently turned his talents towards Superman with very mixed results. A large selection of Superman comic fans have been very unhappy with his artwork throughout this recent run. His work on Spider-Man was always impressive to me, but I have to admit that several of his issues have included art which I personally found to be rather ugly. That's not a huge issue, however, because the statue turned out so well. This is the fourth New 52 based statue in the series so far, and I couldn't be happier with the pose and the sculpted detail. I'm probably the person most upset that the New 52 armoured costume probably won't be returning in the comics, because I've grown to love the panel lines, the raised collar, the no underwear. Paul Harding has managed to recreate John Romita's artwork perfectly, down to him holding his cape with his right hand and that long spiked hair at the front of his head. The creases and folds in the cape are exquisitely sculpted, and despite issues with the artwork, this is another beautiful sculpt from a talented artist. Well, there we have it, guys. There's all 34 statues based on Superman released from DC Collectibles. What did you think? I really appreciate it if you've stuck in the whole way and watched all the way through. I know it's been a long video, but a lot to go through, and I think you'll agree there's so many varied sculpts throughout this line that they had to be shared. Now, there are some other statues, as I was saying before, that are coming out in the next few months for the end of the year. Now, the statue that has just been released is the Superman by Cully Hamner statue. Now, I actually have that one on the way, but unfortunately it hasn't arrived yet, so I don't have it in time to review. However, I have seen images online and it does look absolutely stunning. Yet another New 52 costume that's been essentially recreated in statue form. The next release after that is scheduled to be the Superman by Darwin Cook statue. Another stunning sculpt. Of course, I'm a huge fan of Fleischer's Superman, and this recreates that. Of course, it is based on the New 52, New Frontier artwork, I beg your pardon. And you can see here how close it is to the artwork. They have completely nailed it. That's practically it for the rest of 2015. Into the start of 2016, we're going to start seeing some Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice statues. Here you see the Batman, the Superman, the armoured Batman. These statues all look fantastic. I cannot wait to see them in person. Everything we've seen at Comic-Con, SDCC and Toy Fair, etc. has showed these off to look really, really nice. They all have cloth capes. It does remind me of the Icon series, to be honest. It looks like they're going to be in the 1/6 scale as well. The Superman, of course, is the one that I'm going to be going for, and seeing this one in a bit closer detail, it looks fantastic. The new Superman suit, of course, is great with the square buckle and the Kryptonian writing going through the S-shield and hidden throughout the panel lines. It's just a really, really nice sculpt, and it's something nice to look forward to. As for the rest of 2016, we don't know yet. We've not heard any more about the Man of Steel line past the Darwin Cook statues, so I cannot wait to hear more news about that. Okay guys, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you so much for the support. Anyone that has taken the time to watch this entire video, I really appreciate it. I know it's, about 50 minutes long, so I did have a lot to cover by all means, but I hope you've stuck in there and I really, really appreciate it. So, are there any of these statues that you really love? Are there any that you really hate, or some that you've always been after and you've really appreciated getting to see it, in closer detail? Feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I am so passionate about my collection. I am proud to say that I own each one of these. I am going to be doing a channel giveaway soon, featuring one of the statues you see in this selection. It's going to be a duplicate that I own, so look forward to that in the near future. Thank you again for your support. This was Stu Murray 47, and I'll see you guys on the next Superman related review that I do. Take care.